Hello everyone, it's Jess and welcome back to my channel, Nose in a Book. So it has been forever since I filmed, and I feel like I say that every video, but it really has been this time. It's been like almost a month since I filmed anything, and even the last video I filmed I don't think I ever posted, so yeah. It's just been a really crazy month for me, and then on top of that I feel like I've just been having less ideas for content this past month, and I just kind of started getting more inspired at the end of this month, so that's why I'm filming a whole bunch of videos today and tomorrow so that I can have some ready to upload for you guys during the month of October. But I'm super excited to kind of make this a little bit more consistent. I feel like I say this every video, but bear with me. I'm still kind of getting the hang of this. I'm still a noob. So if any of you veterans have any suggestions or tips or tricks on how to make this a little bit easier or how to stay motivated to create new content, I would love to hear your thoughts down below. So yes, help. So during the month of September, I got in a slight reading slump, as well as not making video content. I was just not reading as much as I usually do. I started rewatching a television series, and so that kind of didn't help. And for those of you who are wondering, the television series is The Nanny with Fran Drescher, and I know most people can't stand that show because of Fran's voice, but I love that show. I'm obsessed with that show, and when I first watched that show, I watched all 7 seasons in like 3 months, and so I just recently was like, I'm in the mood for watching The Nanny, and that was a mistake, because then I just watched all the way through the 2 seasons that I own, and also ordered the whole series off of eBay, so we all know how that goes. Anyways, so that was part of my reading slump. Anytime I had time to be reading, I was just watching The Nanny. Anyways, so there were a couple of books that I didn't finish or get to this month. There were quite a few off of my year-a-thon TBR that I did not get to because those were just like a big list of stuff to choose from, and so I didn't get through all of those, but you will see the ones that I got through during my wrap-up. But one of the ones I was most disappointed that I didn't get to was Marked by PC and Kristen Cast. I was really excited to read this, but I just had so many other things to get to, and I had a couple of books that are due soon back at the library, and so I wanted to get started with those, and so I did put this one off, but I was excited because then I'm kind of putting it off towards October, and it is a vampire novel. So the other 2 books that I'm still currently reading are Steps in Time by Fred Astaire and Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. So with Steps in Time, it was just a nonfiction book, and since I was in a little bit of a reading slump, I just wasn't wanting to pick it up, but I am still planning on finishing this one. I'm not going to DNF it because I really am enjoying it. I just have to be really in the mood to finish it, so I will get back to this one eventually. And then Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. I am really loving this book. I'm only about a quarter of the way through it, but I'm really enjoying it. And this one was one of the ones that is due back at the library soon. I've had it out for way too long, and I just haven't gotten around to reading it. So I am really, really excited to finish this one. This has kind of gotten my reading picked back up this month. So really awesome. I'm loving it so far. So if you haven't checked out Truth Witch, I highly recommend it. I can't wait to have more to say on this in my October wrap-up. So this month I have some 3-star books, some 4-star books, some 5-star books. So it was a pretty good reading month for me. So I'm just going to go through them in order of what I rated them. So the first 3 books that I'm going to share with you today are all part of a series. And the first one is Sage and the Journey to Wish World. This is the Star Darlings series, and I believe it's a Disney show, but I'm not sure. I haven't watched any episodes if it is. But basically it's a world called the Starling world or something like that, and they're all kind of in the solar system above Earth, and their whole point of existence is to grant Earthlings wishes. And so this group of girls is an experiment where they are trying to grant younger wishers wishes because those have the most power. And so basically there is a wish for every story, so each one of these girls gets to be, you know, the wish granter in each story. But also there's this overarching storyline, which I didn't expect when I was reading this because it's a really short chapter book, and most of those I don't see like really overarching storylines. I'm really excited to see where it goes. If any of you ever watched like the Winx Club, I feel like this has a lot of those vibes. It's really awesome. I'm really, really enjoying it. So definitely, I would say definitely worth a read for like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. I think this is a really good one to pick up. I gave this one here 3 stars. Then there was Libby and the Class Election. This is the second book in that series, and this one also got 3 stars. Really good. And the third is Leona's Unlucky Mission, and this one I actually gave 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one. It had a little bit more of that overarching storyline kind of reveal in this one, and I also just felt like I related to Leona's character a little bit more in this one, and I don't know, maybe like the stories were getting more detailed as they went along. So I really enjoyed this one a lot. I felt like it had a great message at the end of this one as well. So definitely recommend this series for any of your younger readers. Really, really great. So the next book that I have to share with you that I read during the month of September was Silo by DJ McHale, and this is the first book in a series. This follows our main character Tucker Pierce, who is a freshman in high school, as he tries to discover kind of what's going on in his little hometown on this island. So basically Tucker lives on this really small island, and people randomly start dying for no reason. There's no scientific explanation as to why they died. And then a little short while later, a branch of the government called Silo invades their island and kind of puts them under quarantine. And the whole reason behind that is the deaths that are happening. But it's clear right from the very beginning that that might not be the whole reason why they're there. So this one has a lot of mystery. It has kind of some sci-fi elements. You're not really sure what's happening. Also, like I said before, he is a high schooler, and I'm used to reading DJ McHale's middle grade series, the Pendragon series. So this one's quite a bit more, quite a bit darker and quite a bit more action-packed. There's a lot going on in this one. There were a lot of action scenes. They just didn't happen till at least halfway through the book, if not a little bit more than halfway. So the whole beginning part of the book is just like mystery, and it's this slow reveal of what's actually going on. And all that you really find out about at the end of this book is that you don't really know what's going on. So you kind of get a little reveal and a little taste for the next book. So I am excited to pick up the next one, but I did only give this one 3 stars, partially just because it was a slow build. But yeah, I definitely highly recommend this series for anything very action-packed. Also, you might enjoy it if you like sci-fi. You might enjoy it if you like dystopian. This is not a dystopian, at least as far as I can tell, but I feel like this is like pre-dystopian. It's like what would have happened if they had shown you how the dystopia was created rather than just plopped you down into this dystopian world. So I feel like this is kind of that area. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of books. I do plan on reading those. So 3 stars for Silo. So the next book that I have to share with you today is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. This one I gave 5 stars. I adored it. This was the Sassy Book Club pick for the month of August-September, and I definitely only read it during the first week of September before the show, and I didn't even get to watch the live show because I had to work and it was a pain. Whatever. Anyways, but I'm really loving this series. I picked up the second book. I haven't gotten to read it yet, but I just purchased it the other day. So this follows 2 perspectives, this dual perspective thing that's going on, and we've got Leia and Elias. Leia is a girl that is a part of the Scholar tribe. Their whole land has been taken over by this thing called the Empire, and it is based off of the Roman Empire, so it's quite abusive, pretty much, is the only word I can think of. And then Elias is actually a soldier in the Empire. So it's actually a really cool little going back and forth. We get 2 really different perspectives that have a lot of the same ideals, so it's really awesome. The other thing I really enjoyed about this one was the writing. I thought it was quite beautiful. It did have a lot of like metaphors and similes and stuff like that, but I like those. I'm a sucker for those. So I really enjoyed this. I gave this book 5 stars. Highly recommend it, and I can't wait to pick up A Torch Against the Night and read it finally because I've been thinking about it. I literally read this in like 2 days. I've been thinking about it since I finished it. So hopefully I will pick it up soon. Probably not during the month of October. I have so many other books I have to get to, but I highly recommend An Ember in the Ashes. I plan on doing a full review of this in this next couple of weeks during the month of October, so you guys can see my full thoughts on it. So until then. So these next 2 books were rereads for me this month, and one was totally read during the week of the year-a-thon, and then the other one I started then, but then I continued on audiobook. I just listened to the whole audiobook. It was so good. Anyways, so the first one I'm going to show you is Austenland by Shannon Hale. So I have read this before. This was a reread. This one got 5 stars again. I just love it. I can't not love it. So basically this follows our Jane Austen obsessed, I should say more Darcy obsessed, main character, Jane. I know, Jane, it's very, very cliche. But anyways, this follows our main character, Jane, and she is obsessed with Darcy, specifically Colin Firth's Darcy, and she cannot find any men that measure up to him, so she has started living this single life, and she just can't find anyone. She's also very serious. All of the guys she's ever dated, liked, looked at with any type of romantic interest, she labels as boyfriends, even if they just like passed each other in the hall. And she was like, that guy, we kind of smiled at each other. She labeled them as boyfriends, and she's only had 13 of those. So she's very, very like intense, and that usually turns guys off. I really relate to her character really a lot. I know that's going to sound psycho, maybe not quite so extreme as that, but I really relate to her character a lot. That's why I haven't had very many boyfriends. But anyways, so her aunt, who's about to pass away, she's really rich, she bequeaths her on her death a ticket to Austenland. Thus the title, Austenland. So she goes to Austenland, and Austenland is a Regency experience. So basically, she first wears all modern stuff. There is flushing toilets and stuff like that, so it's not gross, but so she doesn't have any like internet or anything like that, and she is a character in this story, and all of the male characters are actors, and all the female characters are guests there. So she goes, and she got kind of a cheaper package, so maybe she won't get a romance, and she's not really sure what will happen, and so she decides to take matters into her own hands and kind of use this as a last hurrah, and either at first like give up on men in general, or just give up on this whole idea and try to let Darcy go. And so it's really awesome. It's hilarious. It's moving. I adore the romance in this. Oh my gosh. There is a kind of bit of a love triangle, but not really. It's just so good. If you enjoy Jane Austen and you like Pride and Prejudice, you will love this. So it has been made into a movie, Austenland, and it is a really good movie. I highly recommend the movie. I recommend the book more, but I do highly recommend the movie. I feel like they translated all the characters and everything really well, besides which they picked the most amazing actor to play our main love interest, which you don't, yeah, I'm not going to spoil anything. But anyways, he's so lovely. So anyways, J.J. Fields is a beast. That's all I have to say. He's amazing. Anyways, so I highly recommend reading the book because I really enjoyed the ending better. They changed the ending in the movie, as you know, as one does. And I thought this one was sweeter and not more realistic, because they're both really cheesy, but this one was just like, it had more realistic undertones than this one. This was just like your classic cheesy movie ending, and this one just had a little bit more like sweet. This might possibly happen in real life, but maybe, probably not. But it wasn't as like cinematic. So it just was like a lot sweeter and a little bit more genuine, I felt like. So I really recommend both of these, but love Austenland. I watched this one at like 2 in the morning because I was like, I really want to watch it after I finish this. I just want to watch it again. So 5 stars for Austenland. Read it. So the last book I have to show you that I finished in the month of September was Persuasion by Jane Austen. So this was the read for the Austentatious Book Club, started by Zoe, and I will link all of the information for that down below, as well as the information for the Sassy Book Club. I forgot to mention that earlier. But anyways, this is an amazing book. If you have not read this one, I highly recommend it. It's really short. It was Jane Austen's last finished work before she passed away, and it is just so moving. The characters are more mature. I just love this one. This was only my second time reading it, and I really loved it again. And Captain Wentworth is amazing. And I watched 2 movie adaptations of it after I finished it. They were so good. I just love Jane Austen, guys. If you have not picked up any Jane Austen and you enjoy fiction and romance and perfection in men, you know, all of that. If you want your expectations for men raised really high so that nobody will ever meet them, similarly to Austentatious. You should read this. Anyways, this is so good. Definitely pick it up. So when I read this, I read the first part of it during the year-a-thon week, and then after that I decided to go ahead and pick up the audiobook off of Audible, and I loved the audiobook. So this one was the unabridged version read by Juliet Stevenson. She did such a good job. I was worried because like at the very beginning there's a lot of like exposition and like blah 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 and her parents and blah blah blah. It's very like kind of a long beginning, and so I was like, this is gonna be boring on an audiobook. I'd rather just read it so that I can kind of imagine it on my own. And then as soon as it got to the characters, she did such a good job with all of them. Like they weren't cheesy, and she did such a great job just creating the world and the moments of everything. I just loved it. If you don't want to maybe take the time to read a classic like Persuasion, pick up the audiobook. The audiobook was so good. It's just awesome. So I highly recommend Persuasion. 5 stars forever. Jane Austen will always get 5 stars. She's amazing. I also plan on doing a full review of this one and Pride and Prejudice on my channel at some point, just because I want to kind of review all the ones I'm doing for our book clubs. So if you guys have read any of these books or have any suggestions for me based on the books I've just read or any of those things, or if you just want to, talk about Captain Wentworth and his amazingness, please comment down below, like, subscribe, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!